when you're like...
When you're really trying to suck your own dick.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
it's hard to just not... You're going for that forward fold. You're like, everyone's been there. You're like, is it possible? Do I have to get this rib removed? Just, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. Do you want to improve your flexibility to be able to touch your toes? The forward fold, as we like to refer to it. Now, this is something a lot of people struggle with, even though we all try to invert and Berrim Bolo and all that. And there's some specific things you can do to improve this movement quality. Now, we've each had different journeys with this. I would say that Joe is better at this movement than me. But that's okay. That's acceptable.
He always has to point that out, eh?
That's all right. I acknowledge that Joe is better than me at few things, but you got to see them for what they are, and I can improve. So forward fold, touching the toes, head to the knees, head to toe, all that. Plenty
Toes
of people
in mouth.
Toes in mouth. Oh, if you're a savage, my goodness, if you're into it, there are some certain things that help you get better at that move. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's just sort of talk about where this movement is relevant for grapplers. Of course, like inverting, right? That kind of thing, getting stacked, right? So here's the deal. When we're talking about a forward fold, we're talking about folding your body in half. So bending forward, folding the body in half. Now, when you do that, you're going to feel your hamstrings generally.
Or
somewhere along the
lower back.
Yeah, that's right. But generally like back of the legs from top to bottom, it's going to be like, super tight, right? Now, this is also relevant. Like if we're talking about this kind of general area of flexibility, if we're talking about your guard retention, right? If you're looking at, coach is telling you, hey, like, if you're in a supine guard, like you're on your back, pull your knees in towards your armpits and don't let your knees come away. Like keep your knees into your chest and don't let your knee come off your chest.
Yep.
That, like your hamstring flexibility allows you to do that.
Yes.
Right? As well as your core strength.
Or your lack of hamstring flexibility will not allow you.
That's right. So, this guard retention, like doing the egg beater, like pummeling with the legs, your X guard, like the ability to get into an X guard. You see some people like practicing X guard and like they got to like grab their foot and like pull it in.
Yeah.
Like having better flexibility through the back of your legs and through the back of your body essentially will improve all of these things.
Yes.
A big one where it works for me a lot is, the 4-point.
Yep.
Like, so if someone, so you come up into a 4-point, like say you're in turtle, someone's trying to attack the back and you come up onto hands and feet.
Yeah.
I'm able to like walk my hands in really close to my feet.
Which pushes the hips right up.
Yeah, so I'm like vertical.
Hard for people to get in.
Hard for them to like not fall off.
Yeah.
Right? So there's benefits, right, to this. And I would say that like the ability to fold is just one of those, it's just a huge global movement, isn't it? It's like, if you lack there, like if that's a really tight spot for you, not only will jiu-jitsu be harder, but so will squatting and deadlifting and basic movements we want to do in the gym. So a lot of benefit to this. Yeah, so here's the first thing to realize, and this is something I learned when I was working on it quite a lot back in the day. Your calf muscles are really responsible for your ability to access your hamstrings.
Yes.
So when I was going to do my hamstring session, which I do like once a week, I always did 3 sets of calf stretching at the start.
Yes.
And while we don't necessarily have that inbuilt to all of our programs, because it is like we've tried to simmer it down to the most minimal stuff, so it's quick and you can do it. If you were doing something, like if you're doing good mornings or you're doing forward fold work, Jefferson Curls, whatever, actually spending the time in your warm-up to stretch your calves just for a couple of minutes goes a long way.
I will ratify this. I concur. I am of the tight calf gang, and that's actually where I suffer the most, even though some of it might be neural, like referred from my lower back. I do find it hard to feel like my hamstrings are reasonably flexible, but when I'm doing forward fold stuff, I feel the calf, and I need to do a bit of neural flossing, so to speak. So like elephant walk, that kind of stuff, like, or even like just rolling my feet and then rolling my calves makes the kind of J curl and the other forward folding work more tolerable.
Right. It unlocks so you can access
I can
that.
get into the hamstrings. I can get in, because that's the thing we don't realize. Oftentimes because we always just go, oh, can you touch your toes? And be like, oh, my back. Well, it's like, it's just because of the way you might be approaching the movement and you haven't necessarily prepped yourself. So doing a bit of like foot and calf loosening and stretching will definitely make hamstring and other flexibility work more, not just accessible, but I think more effective.
Yeah.
If I don't do that stuff, I almost can't get past it.
Yeah, and maybe it's just like a really full-on calf stretch that you're doing.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, which like, sure, there's benefit to that, but if you could do something for a couple of minutes to take the calves out of it,
then it's better.
Yeah, that's right.
100%. Yeah, so I always spend, at least, unless Joey just goes, hey, bro, you want to do a quick video for Instagram? I'll just do the J curl, bro. Yeah. So I'm like, what?
JT's like, you're better at it than me, bro. Are you sure you want me on camera for this, bro?
No, I don't. I very rarely will admit that. But no, this is one of those things that I do need some prep. I'll be honest. I need that prep to make the hamstring work more effective.
Yeah. On the show, we talk about how you can get healthy for jiu-jitsu and practices that you want to have as part of your day-to-day so that you can be in the best possible shape to train. And this is whether you're an athlete or just the everyday jiu-jitsu hobbyist. One of those habits is using electrolytes. We've spoken about this on other episodes, and electrolytes, although incredibly simple, are one of the missing links for people when it comes to performance. And the beauty of electrolytes is that they allow us to be hydrated. So we're talking about salt, potassium, and magnesium. Now, today's show is actually brought to you by Sodi, and this is a crew that we've been partnered with now. We are using Sodi on a daily basis, and the beauty of what these guys do, this little Australian company, is that they put in a beautiful mix of salt, potassium, and magnesium, and delicious flavors. You punch it in some water, I throw it into a protein shaker, I put 1 or 2 of these bad boys in there, and I drink it before, during, and after training. I just sip on that thing, and I tell you what, my hydration levels feel better than ever before, and it's delicious. Sometimes I use it first thing in the morning. I even pumped one last night because I felt a little bit parched after dinner. So go check out Sodi, SODII.com.au, and use the code Bulletproof15, and you will get 15% off your order. Get hydrated, get Sodi. I did, so I had Wednesday off because I had a cold.
Yes.
And so I was just at home, mad, watched a bunch of TV.
Yeah.
Italian crime dramas.
Yeah.
Joey's favorite. Anything
Joey's
mafia
specialty.
related. Yeah. And
Gabagool.
and that's Joyzy.
It's the best meme.
And so and this always happens. I came in today as we're doing mobility. Today's Friday, and my lower back was all jacked up. Ooh. And I always notice that when I come back to training after having like usually if I've been unwell and I've had a day off and I've been sitting down a lot and not moving, my lower back, I can feel it. Everything I do, it's like, oh, my lower back. Yeah. And I did some Jefferson curls in the warm up today, and all I could feel was calves and lower back.
Right.
So same thing. I was like, all right, stretch calves for a couple of minutes, and then got into the lower back, felt fine. But certain days it will be a limitation for me too. And I think once you are like to the listeners, once you're a bit more familiar with these drills and you're doing them regularly, you too have that. You can hear what your body's telling you. But that's a bit tight today.
You tune into it.
Yeah, because your body's telling you that shit every day. And we're training jiu-jitsu usually every couple of days. Usually something's pretty beat up.
We can ignore
after a jiu-jitsu session.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can ignore it if you're just like oblivious to. But if you're actually like, all right, what am I feeling today? How's the body doing?
No, I think probably more people have the habit of ignoring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm okay.
Yeah, like a willful kind of ignorance to it.
Yeah. Just to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Well, speaking that point about you feeling like the tight lower back, maybe through inactivity or illness or whatever it might be, for me, the thing I find that helps me, like we talk about this a little bit, or we have talked about it, even though it's not currently in the program, I think we'll see it a little bit more in the future, is the reciprocal inhibition. So it sounds technical, but basically for you to stretch your tricep, you've got to contract your bicep, and vice versa. For you to stretch your bicep, you've got to contract your tricep. For you to really unlock the back, you really got to switch on your quads and your abs, and I actually find doing a bit of like kind of strong ab contraction and like getting the like hip flexors and quads really G'd up enables me to stop thinking about just hanging off the back part and actually actively pull into the position, even though it's f***ing brutal and you'll feel it. I find that improves my range so much. And you kind of forget, because you're like, oh, I'm doing a stretch. And so you're not as engaged with it as you should. But if I, like one of the drills, like you do the, I don't don't know the exact term for it, where you get the ab mat or you get the yoga block and you kind of crush it between your stomach and your quads.
Yeah.
I find that's actually so helpful for me. Like, it's funny because you think it's the smallest thing. So you could just grab a cushion off your couch or whatever. But instead of just thinking about whether you're sitting on the ground reaching for your toes or you're actually standing and reaching down for the floor, actively engaging your abs and locking on your quads will make a huge difference to the range you can find there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find that helps me a lot.
Yeah, it's so true. And this is to JT's example, when you're stretching a joint, you have a shortening side and a lengthening side. The lengthening side is the side that's stretching, and then the shortening side is the one that's contracting. But you can shorten without like actively contracting, right? You can just be focusing on the stretch. So what we're saying is if you focus on the shortening side, on the contraction, and focus on like contracting as hard as you can, i.e., hey man, here's something between your abs and your thighs, like crush this thing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the stretching side starts to perform way better.
Yeah.
And this is like that strength, flexibility intersection where it's like, okay, now you're using contraction to become more flexible.
And what I find is a lot of people who suck.
We've hammered that point a lot.
We have, but why do I say this? Because someone posted this in our coaching group the other day. They said, oh, here's me doing a J curl. What am I doing wrong here? And I was like, oh, it didn't look active enough. And even the way the person described it, they were just hanging the weight. And it's like, nah, man, that's not the right way for you to frame it in your mind. And it's actually really important that you're very conscious of the way you do it, because this will dictate the quality of it. And, we do it with, when we're trying to open up the hip flexors, like get you to contract your glutes. Yeah. Typically, people who suck at forward fold are weak. Like they're not strong through the compression muscles. Their compression, their hip flexors and their quads and their abs are not strong at that range. Yeah. They might just be able to do a sit-up, right? Most people can, jiu-jitsu, whatever, but you get them like as flat as they can be, and you're like, okay, now tense that all up there. Most people suck there. And so the compression strength, so to speak, and, I would say that my compression strength has gone down because I haven't been practicing it. I've been practicing a lot of extension stuff. So I found even just playing guard, I was like, oh, this guard stuff works your abs. Like I was feeling it way more. And I was like, I never, ever had that problem in the past because that's all I did. But I find most people, if you really struggle to touch your toes or you're really struggling to improve there, you might want to look at strengthening at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited.
Why's that?
We have an apparel sponsor, Parry Athletic. Such good gear, and it's incredible. I've been enjoying it.
Bro, George came through, messaged us on the Instagram, said he's been following our program for ages. He's getting stronger and more mobile. And he's got this cool gear company called Parry, and he wants to send us some stuff.
And he told me that his mission was to create the best pair of training shorts ever.
Yeah, he wanted something that he could lift and roll in, and that could accommodate thick, muscular thighs and hips.
And that suits us.
Speaks to us.
Also, what I like is I love the colorful design. It actually looks really cool.
I am the most colorful dude on the mats these days, hands down.
Yeah, you get that kind of expression feel. A lot of other jiu-jitsu gear is kind of a bit boring.
Yeah, it's all like grays and blacks and shit. This stuff is the color and the vibrancy.
It makes you stand out. And I think the thing that I've loved about it is just it feels good. It feels good. It looks good. And you, ladies and gentlemen, can get a discount when you go to checkout. If you go to parryathletics.com, when you go to checkout, put in the code bulletproof20 and you get 20% off. Oh, yeah.
There's another thing too with forward folding stuff, which is that, and I don't know what this is. I mean, the hamstrings are a huge muscle group.
Yeah.
Right? Like the muscles on the back of your legs, like it's a big area of muscle. And there is something very uncomfortable about stretching them. So when you're like getting into, like say you're starting on our standards program and you're doing some of those earlier variations.
Yeah.
You're doing some stride stance good mornings. You're doing some double leg good mornings. Yeah. Like it can be really aggressive, at least in the first few weeks where you're getting into that end range, you're feeling the stretch in your hamstrings. It can make you want to vomit. Like if you've been on this earth for like 40, 45 years and you've never really done that kind of stuff, it's going to be an uncomfortable process for you.
Burn. It's like I think it's this mixture of the neural. It's not just when you feel a muscle stretch, you're like, oh, that's tight. It's that neural referred pain.
Yeah, it's like a system overload.
it can be brutal.
And I think like you have to be respectful of that. Say that idea of like of focusing on the shortening side. You may not be able to do that in your initial few weeks because you might just be gritting your teeth and trying to get through it. But here's the big kicker for you. We don't become more flexible by surviving in these positions because a lot of your flexibility is dictated by your neurology. Your nervous system is allowing you to express flexibility. Yeah. So the big kicker is you want to try to be relaxed in these end ranges. So don't take it to a point where you're like,
you just can't.
You don't
relax.
want to be Dyson, Terminator 2.
No.
Right?
No, we don't need that.
You got to just back it off a little bit.
Yeah.
To where you can like control the breathing. Okay, I'm cool with this. This is pretty full on, but I'm cool with this. And that's the realm you want to stay at.
Yeah.
And if you do that over time, you can, I'm getting further. Yeah. And this is a really good lesson generally with your training. Like, try to control your facial expression. Try to control your breathing.
That's so hard.
Yeah, but you see like the John Marshes of the world. You see the people that train they're like...
John's kind of a Terminator in his own way, right?
But this is put to me by a dance teacher years ago.
Okay.
And he's an contemporary dance guy.
Okay.
So wild, fruity shit.
Crazy stuff.
And he took us, it was at a movement camp. Right. We're going deep into the archives here. But
bit of touch butt.
Yeah, heaps. And we're doing this like hours long workshop of like contemporary shit. And I'm like, you're just trying to keep up because like the shit they're doing is like not what I'm interested in. So automatically I'm like, I'm not that into that.
Resistant.
But that's the practice, right?
Yeah.
And he said to me, and he was like, he was pointing at like all the strong cats in the room. He's like, I watch you people every day. You're training on the rings. You're training your handstands. You're training with incredible control and precision. Yet none of you control the muscles of the face. You have no precision of the face. And it was, you watch him do his shit, and he's just like he's controlling his body. He would use his face as a tool of expression.
Right.
And I'm like, that's a good point. Like, we're very into cueing what's the shoulders doing, where are the elbows, need your hips like this, like in strength training, right? But yeah, so I was like, the face thing, interesting.
That is interesting. And look, that reminds me of Ellington Darden, who was like the original founder of the Nautilus machine. He used to be a big thing about like you should show no emotion. At maximum effort, it should be none in your face. It actually makes shit way harder if you're like trying to stay neutral. Like, it actually takes more energy to keep neutral face while maximum exertion. It's so hard.
Yeah,
like,
right. What's his reason for saying that? Because I'm thinking
the rationale was that you don't waste energy. Like, his thing was like maximum effort to the working muscles. Don't put it anywhere else. So he's like, you need to
don't bleed it through other.
Yeah, which is maybe has been debunked in some ways, but I mean, this is like back in like 1965 or some shit. You know, he invented really the first ever kind of fitness machines with the Nautilus curve,
right?
Which is what loads things up optimally or whatever. Anyway, dude, try to like, as if stretching isn't hard enough, try and keep a neutral face. I mean, right. Yeah. It's so that's a layer of challenge.
It is, but I think that when you're going for maximal stuff, like when you're
really trying to suck your own dick,
right?
Like, it's hard to just not. You're going for that forward fold. You're like, everyone's been there. You're like, is it possible? Do I have to get this rib removed?
Everyone's been here.
Movement camp. Am I right?
Yeah, I think like when and it's like, say if you're doing a max deadlift, it's like you can do whatever you want with your face.
Sure.
Because you're really skilled at that.
Everything.
But like but when I see a newbie in the gym and they're like doing the and you're like, bro, you're doing the third rep of like a 15 rep set. Like, it's not hard.
We're not there yet.
But somehow you're making these facial expressions that's like a learned behavior.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. So I think that you know, and so same deal with the stretching. I think get into the habit of not just struggling visually, because that in turn will teach you to control it. And then that's what unlocks.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. And so if we were to summarize this for all y'all trying to get better at the forward fold, prep them calves.
Yep, stretch calves.
Calves, feet. So yeah, I like the elephant walk, or like a bit of slant board shit, or
Yeah, like just if you like even just a gutter or some kind of step.
just to put it on
Just
stretch.
like put a box. Yeah, if you got a plyo box.
Yeah,
Just get up on that, hands on the wall or something that can support a bit of weight and hang your heel
stretch
off.
the calves.
Nice and easy.
Then the next step, would you say prep lower back, or what's the?
I like leg swings.
Oh, okay, cool.
Leg swings, yeah. This is like
Dynamic.
This is 101 stretching scientifically prescription.
Yeah, dynamic stretching.
Yeah, so just like 2 to 3 sets of like 15 reps of leg
Yep.
swings, aiming to kick as high as you can at the like upwards.
Yep.
And trying to have the knee locked and the toes pulled back at the top of the kick.
That's tough.
And your first set, chill. Second set, bit harder. Third set, going for it.
bit higher,
And then I would enter your stretching.
whatever you're working on there.
Yeah.
And I mean, we touched on it before. At what point do you enlist a J curl or some external stimulus? Maybe we do the ab chock first. Would you say?
Well, nah, because I think with the ab chock, you need to be at like you need to be at a certain
Close enough to be able
to actually pinch it.
You're like, I'm just going to get a fit ball.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I think like good mornings. I actually think like more strength related stuff.
Oh, okay.
Good mornings, stride stance, good mornings.
Yep.
A really good precursor because you're going into the end range and then coming back out. So you're not hanging out there for 40 seconds.
You're working.
But you're doing it under load and you're also like, I'm doing weights.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Tough.
Yeah. And arguably, like, I mean, we have this in standards because it indicates that we know that you're strong there because you've done it under load.
Correct.
Right? So I really like that. I would kind of think that you want to try and get to sort of, like if you were testing your toe touch, that you got hands somewhere around like ankle height,
Yep.
you know, before you were jumping into Jefferson curls.
Yeah.
But to that end, if you're like, hey, I'm giving Jefferson curls a go, like I think they're fine for anyone.
Yeah.
As long as you understand you don't need to go heavy.
Yes. It's just like a little bit of feedback there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There it is, folks. Improve your forward fold. But you know what else? You can improve your life. You can bring a lot of good karma your direction. One good deed deserves another. And that good karma is subscribing, following, if you're on audio, and also giving us a 5-star rating. We love you, folks, and we wish all the good karma in your direction for all your strength and mobility gains. So subscribe, follow, and give us a 5-star rating. We appreciate you.
Thank you.